Hi everyone, my name is Jacopo Venè. I am a PhD student from the University of Pisa in Italy, and this is my presentation for the Ludìca Congress 2025. We will talk about ludolinguistics and specific learning disorders by the point of view of an inclusive approach. Let's start with a quick question. What is ludolinguistics? Well, ludolinguistics or logology is basically the study of wordplay in language learning, which means that we have to think about all of the ways in which ludolinguistics can express itself, such as acrostics, anagrams, crosswords, rebuses, just to quote the most famous, palindromes, and so on. And those are a few exercises by the point of view of a game playful style, which can be used in classrooms by teachers to make learning more fun and interactive for the students. It can also, in fact, enhance cognitive and metalinguistic skills. If we think about how these kind of exercises are made, we can think like acrostics and anagrams are very indicated for the metacognitions of the words, to know where the letters that compound words have to stay to form some certain words. And we have to remember also that some of those playful exercises, like rebuses, for example, use different approach, such as images or icons to um, say a message. Okay, so not only words are used in this kind of crosswords, riddles, and word games, but also other channels can be used to convey the message. Why should we use ludolinguistics in education? Well, through word games, language acquisition and literary skills can be promoted. If we think about learners of the first language, such as L1 students, or of their second language, such as students that have to learn a new language, that it's not their mother language. And ludolinguistics can also encourage motivation and active learning, making learning more game-based, which means we can think about ways to make learning more fun for them. And it can also develop problem solving and critical thinking if we think about how these kind of exercises are made. There is often to find a solution to an issue or a command to be responded to. And so this way we can think about cognitive skills that have to be used by students. And this way, like I was saying before about rebuses, we are also supporting diverse learning styles, because this way we can think about students who need a more linguistic or textual approach, and students who may need something more visual, and like in the case of rebuses. So, without further going on, the LSDs, what are they? Let's just make a quick overview. Well, specific learning disorders are defined as neurodevelopmental disorders that can affect the ability to read, in dyslexia case, or write, in dysorthographia and dysgraphia, and so on, with calculation in the case of dyscalculia. And those LSDs can be seen when schools begins. Of course, they are disorders that affect the way students learn to read, write, and calculate. Disorders are come from different functioning of neural networks involved in reading, writing, and arithmetic, meaning that the brain functions differently in these areas. It is very important to remember they're not classified as disabilities, but they are disorders. So it's a different brain functioning, but it's not a lack of ability. They can be supported very well by a didactic point of view and intervention that can make the learning supported by a lot of different instruments and methodologies. One of those is certainly Ludolinguistics, because Ludolinguistics and Ludology, with the exercise that we spoke about in the second slide, can help students with dyslexia and all the others LSDs to think about language in a different way, in a playful way, but most importantly, by another point of view. So their stress and anxiety are reduced because of the way we are presenting the exercises to them, and also because we can make students work in groups to not think about these exercises as evaluation situation didactics, but as ways to think about language and how words are made. So it is very important to remember that presenting different ways, different approaches to learning is what universal design for learning is really all about. So methodologies, different ways to think about materials in class can result in a very inclusive way of promoting the well-being of students in the classrooms. The examples we can do is, of course, crosswords. Unfortunately, we don't have time to talk about all the exercises we saw, but with crosswords, there are a lot of things going on that can really help students with, let's say, dyslexia think about words, and there is a lot of good aspects that are involved in the moment we solve a crossword. First, we have the requirement to fill in the answer while respecting the number of available squares, and this can help prevent mistakes. Each square corresponds to a letter and vice versa, which allows for immediate self-correction and encourages reflection on any possible errors. When words intersect, it requires a careful analysis of writing preceded by a mental reasoning process, both abstract and visual, and that considers the sequence of the individual letters as well as the word as a whole. This promotes an anticipatory process driven by metacognition, which is essential for learning. To interpret the clue correctly, comprehension of the text is the key. Since the clue is presented as an indirect riddle, it encourages us to draw a prior knowledge while also moving us toward new understanding. Essentially, this aligns with what Vygotsky defined as the zone of proximal development, where learning becomes most effective. Once you gain expertise, the ability to create a crossword puzzle independently with the teacher's guidance and preferably through cooperative learning naturally triggers the need to use a dictionary to search for new terms and more complex definitions. So those are just one of the few aspects that we can think about crosswords. So, just to conclude the presentation, I want to talk very quickly about Gianni Rodari. Gianni Rodari was a teacher in Italy, very famous because of the way he understood children, their needs, and the importance, he recognized the importance of play and fun in learning. So he knew learning can be both fun and profoundly serious at the same time. He wanted to pursue a goal, which was to make learning fun, like I said, but also finding ways to promote the inclusion to all the students in the classroom, which was it could be done really by a didactic that view the students as not only mere receivers of the educational process, but they were active. They could do things, they could write stories, they could do exercises that were fun. They had to have fun while they were learning in the classroom. Otherwise, for Gianni Rodari, learning wasn't having any sense. This doesn't mean, of course, that fun has to be pursued in every moment of the educational context and process, but of course, there were situations where having fun could do way more effort and work much better for the educational purposes of the teacher. He often talked about was mistakes, because mistakes are very often seen as something in school that has to be condemned by educators, but it is not the case in the Rodari way of thinking. He said in Grammar of Fantasy in 1973 that within every mistake lies the possibility of a story. So I wrote here some examples. Of course, in Italian they're different, but I wrote them to work in English. So let's say a student wrote the word cat with an extra R, so spelling cart. He would have asked him, he would have tried to make this situation fun by asking him, like, would a cart be a cat with wheels rolling through the streets, meowing at pedestrians? So thinking about having fun can also be done in the when students do mistakes, and this is exactly about ludolinguistics if you think about it, which is there are some exercises that really are made by adding a vowel or a consonant or a letter in general to a word, or cutting it out. So this way, I think learning can be way more significative also for students with LSDs. And this concludes my presentation. There are the references, and thank you very much for your attention, and see you soon.